Guys, I honestly can't stop making top 5 lists. The other night I made a top 5 list of why my children should already be in bed. And then the day after that, I made a top 5 reasons for why my wife should make me another sandwich. And then she made me a top 5 list of reasons for why I'm sleeping on the couch. So yeah, these top 5 lists seem to be completely taking over my life, but it's all good. I definitely enjoy making them for you guys. If you guys enjoy them, hit the like button, subscribe, let me know your thoughts down below. Today we're going to be making another top 5 list for the top 5 McFarlane DC Multiverse action figures that we still need from McFarlane. Keyword being another. I did already make one top 5 list, but this is kind of like, I guess, the runner-ups to that particular list, or I suppose you could say they're kind of like the honorable mentions. If you guys are interested in the original list, I will put a link in the description, or I will throw the link up somewhere on the screen. So go ahead and check that out if you guys are interested. Let me know down below which action figure, which character you would love to see in action figure form. Very curious to see everybody's responses down below. Without further ado, let's stop wasting time and let's get straight into the 5th spot on today's video. And I decided to go with a Bruce Wayne action figure. I get it, we've seen a gazillion different Batman action figures, and granted, in most of those situations it is technically Bruce Wayne under the mask, but we don't have a proper Bruce Wayne action figure. I would love to see just a regular Bruce Wayne in like a tuxedo or something along those lines. He wouldn't necessarily have to be based on anything specific. I mean, obviously I don't want anything from like the animated series or a film, a live action film, but I would love to see like a Bruce Wayne that's kind of loosely based on maybe a comic book run. For example, the Rebirth Batman, which is not necessarily the most iconic one, but I think it's as close as you can get. Especially with McFarlane, he usually takes some liberties when it comes down to comic book accurate characters. So just as long as it's, like I said, a loose representation of Bruce Wayne, I would absolutely love something like that in my display. I think that's something that we're missing, just kind of a more plain Bruce Wayne. And I hate to use that word, but just kind of a more generic version of him. We already have him in bad suits and all kind of mechanical gear, but I would just love to see him in just plain old Bruce Wayne style attire. Not necessarily the biggest heavy hitter. I know most people are going to roll their eyes, really a Bruce Wayne action figure, but I think we're long overdue, especially considering the DC Multiverse from McFarlane, I think, is moving into its 4th year. These are the type of deep cuts that I think McFarlane needs to continue giving us. Let's move on to the 4th spot on today's list, where we have one of the most underrated Teen Titans villains out there. We're talking about Mammoth, who's a relatively new character, about 40 years old. He made his debut in the 80s and was actually co-created by George Perez, who is considered to be one of the heavy hitters in the comic book industry. As I said, he's not really a very well-known character, but it seems like McFarlane, for some unknown reason, continues to run out of really good deluxe action figures to work on. And for the most part, I think they've been somewhat disappointing. I have no problem with, like, for example, the Batman villains, such as Killer Croc, Clayface, Bane, and so many others. But it seems that he's been giving us a lot of live action deluxe figures that don't really make sense, and really nobody is that interested in picking them up. I feel like this is a perfect opportunity, considering that for the last few years, he's shown interest in giving us a lot of Teen Titans, even though he's gone for a more comic book accurate approach. But we still saw some, for example, animated figures. We saw Cyborg and a few others. So I think it's only a matter of time before he continues to dig deeper into the Teen Titans universe. And I personally think that this figure would just be absolutely perfect for the DC Multiverse. At the 3rd spot, I decided to put Metallo in there. And I'll be brutally honest with you guys, I'm a huge Superman fan. And it's honestly very, very sad to see that we haven't really gotten that many big giant Superman villains. I think we're definitely inching closer and closer to getting more, but this would be a perfect addition to a very nice Superman display. And even though some of his first appearances are definitely classics, I would love to see his more modern renditions. Some of the action comic books from like the early 2000s to like the late 2000s, they featured Metallo, and he was a lot beefier. Like I said, more modern technology was applied to this character rather than like his first appearance, which was a little bit clanky, a little bit skeleton-like. I think this particular character is right up McFarlane's wheelhouse because he loves very eccentric body sculpts. He loves figures that have an insane amount of sculpting, and this sounds like the perfect character, as I said, for the DC multiverse. And I just feel like all of our displays are desperately in need of some Superman villains, and this one would just be perfect for the multiverse. Moving on to the second spot on today's list, and yes, I am showing love to those Superman villains. I would love to see just a kind of torn down version of Lex Luther. It seems like we've gotten almost every alternate version of Lex except for just a classic one where he's just wearing like a normal 3-button suit with his bald shiny head sticking out and a face sculpt that looks like he's planning his next dubious scheme to take down Superman. Same thing as with the Bruce Wayne. I don't really need anything specific to like a particular comic book run or a comic book series, or really any type of era, just something that looks like the most generic version of Lex Luthor. I know he's kind of switched up, especially from what he looked like in his first appearance compared to what we think of Lex Luthor in today's modern day. But I would love to see the rebirth or like a rebirth style version of Lex Luthor. And if you guys haven't caught on, there's definitely a theme here. I want a lot of like unsuited versions of big giant comic book characters. Like I said, we've gotten some versions of Lex Luthor, all of them from alternate realities, but I just want, like I said, a stripped down version. Just him wearing like a fancy little suit with like a shard of kryptonite as an accessory. I don't know, I'm getting ahead of myself, but you get where I'm going. Just kind of a more classic version of Lex Luthor. I get it, the articulation is probably going to be very limited because of the suit, very similar to Bruce Wayne, but I'm not really going to go out there and pose him in some really dynamic, crazy poses. He's just going to go into the display holding, I don't know, like a piece of kryptonite with a menacing face sculpt. That's all I ask for. And also, McFarlane, please don't make him a store exclusive. Anyways, let's get straight into the top spot on today's video. And as if you guys couldn't tell, I am way into Superman recently. Even though Batman is probably my all-time favorite DC character, Superman is very close behind. And for the top spot, I decided to do a Clark Kent action figure. Same thing, we've gotten quite a few different renditions, quite a few different versions of Superman, but I wanted Clark Kent. I wanted the nerdy version of Superman with his big giant bifocals and maybe the giant S logo sticking out from underneath his button-up professional long sleeve shirt. Very similar to anything on this list, or at least like half of the list. I don't necessarily need him to be from any specific universe. I just want him to be like a classic design for Superman. And with Superman, contrary to some of the other entries, I would love to see something somewhat similar to his first few appearances in the comic books. We definitely need his hair to be wavy and have that iconic curl. And maybe the Build-A-Figure for this wave is like Martha. I'm totally joking, but you get where I'm going. I mean, I would love to see just a bare, stripped down Clark Kent action figure. I think we're long overdue. My iconic version, like I said, the S kind of sticking out. He's about to take his normal casual outfit off and, you know, don the Superman outfit. And maybe like rolled up sleeves showing his super hairy arms. I'm totally kidding. Nobody needs hairs on their action figures. But yeah, a classic Clark Kent, that is my number one. And you guys can definitely tell this list I had a little bit more fun with compared to the other top 5 where it was like, these are the best DC characters that McFarlane still hasn't worked on. This list was a little bit more fun. It was just kind of like me throwing stuff at the wall. And these are some of the, I definitely feel like they're offbeat characters and they're definitely not the most mainstream, but I wanted to give them some love. I think these are some of the figures that McFarlane still needs to get to. I know they're definitely not his priority, any of these, but it would be really fun to see them in plastic form. So there you guys have it. My, I guess, second top 5 list for McFarlane figures that we need. Let me know down below if you guys enjoyed it. If you guys didn't, it's absolute jumbling mess here, but I definitely had a ton of fun putting it together. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Stay tuned. We have a ton of content coming at you guys, and yeah, stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.